My name is Randy Cohen. I write The Ethicist for the New York Times Magazine, and I've been biking around New York for, I guess 25 years. I mean, biking in New York is compact and it's pretty flat. So it's just an ideal biking town. It takes what could be a tedious or unfortunate or onerous commute and turns it into a joy. It's just a physical pleasure to ride. I work at home, so I'm not a daily commuter, but I use the bike for errands, for whenever I have to go somewhere, for meetings, for appointments. You know, when I travel, if I can, I travel by bike. And this is my preferred route, the West Side Greenway. I'm up in the 90s on West End, and so Manhattan is long and lean, like me, from riding a bike. So I'll do the north-south part on the Greenway and then just cut inland and head east. And I grew up in the suburbs, and the bike was synonymous with freedom. When you were old enough to bike, that meant you had enormous mobility. And in those days, before the cars made it too dangerous, everybody biked to school. You'd leave the house on a Saturday morning and you'd bike for miles and miles. This was in Reading, Pennsylvania. It was really hilly, but we were too young and dumb to realize it. It's where Duryea Drive was, where they tested the first cars in America. If they could make it up those hills, they were cool. And the bike was freedom. So in New York, it hadn't quite occurred to me that that was how you got around town until a friend left for California, and he left his bike with me and said, yeah, sure, use it. And it was just a revelation. You could get everywhere in New York in 10 minutes. I ride this bike for commuting. It's a clunker, it's heavy, it's ugly, no one would want to steal it. I've never had a bike stolen in New York, knock wood. But I'm a two-bike family, so on the weekends I use the road bike. It's a wonderful light road bike, and I work at home, so I'll do a couple loops of the park pretty much every day. If it's dry, I ride. And on the weekends I ride with the New York Cycle Club. The hours and parts of the park that are car-free continue to expand, and that's all for the good. But that there are ever cars in the park seems to me just astonishing. It's a park. It's not just a park. It's a park in a city that so desperately needs green space. It's the most beautiful urban park on earth. That there is ever a car in it is the most astonishing squandering of this urban treasure. It's unimaginable. Heads up! Oh, don't look. It's okay, take your time. You're confused by the bike lane, I see. You're in the bike lane. You can tell by the picture of the bike. I think if everyone said in just a friendly way, non-confrontational, non-hostile, this is the bike lane, it has a pedagogical function. One of the brilliant things about the way this bike lane is designed is, instead, the normal pattern is parked cars on your left, bike lane, traffic. But by reversing it this way, it solves two problems. You don't have to worry about a car cutting in front of you to park, and the cars provide this physical buffer to protect you from traffic. How can you not fall in love with someone who would bring that to New York? One of the ways in which DOT has changed under Jeanette Sadi-Khan, for whom I sound like a ridiculous kiss-ass cheerleader, but it's so impressive, is former regimes used to count how many cars were moving down the street at any given moment. But the point of this exercise is not to move cars, it's to move people. Once you can count not, oh, there are 50 cars, but oh, there are cars, there are buses, they carry different amounts of people. How many people do we actually move along per minute? It changes everything. The other thing she's done that's so splendid is to conceive roads not just as conduits for travel, but as public space. And how do you allocate it? A big problem for urban life is having people get around. That's DOT's main brief. How do we get around? But it's also what we do when we get there. She's increased the supply of human happiness in New York City. And she's done it while speeding up traffic flow and cutting down accidents. One of the true tests of public space is, do people use it? And look, people love this. So the question comes up, is it ethical to ride against traffic in the bike lane? You're going the wrong way, pal. I would argue no. Here's what ethics is. Ethics concerns the effects of your actions on other people. And the bike lanes are pretty narrow. And if you ride against traffic, you put the other riders in jeopardy. Where it's just a painted bike lane, you force them out into the traffic. Where it's a buffered bike lane, here they have nowhere to go. And you can't buy your convenience at the expense of someone else's safety. This is not a law and order position. It's a consequentialist argument. What are the effects of your actions on others? Because I'll deny this in a court of law, but I almost never stop at a red light, except when I might endanger another person or myself. But if I'm driving along and there are no pedestrians who want to cross the road, and there's no car traffic to endanger me, I slow down, look both ways, go through the light. What are we, Germans? There's studies that suggest that contentment with life is inversely proportional to the length of your commute. I mean, time spent in the car is horrible. It's physically unpleasant. It makes you miserable. To make the kind of daily journeys you have to make in New York on a bike makes you happier. It's healthy without striving for health. It's exercise without attempting to have exercise. Who doesn't love it?